like to call the regular council meeting of Tuesday, March 15th, 2011 to order. I'd like to ask you all to please rise. We're going to have the invocation led by Councilman Tom Para. The Pledge of Allegiance tonight is going to be led by Scout Hannah Reed.
Lord, you invite all who are burdened to come to you. Place your healing hands around the small island of Japan. Welcome all those who lost their lives into your kingdom, and comfort the people who remain in your need. Bless the rescue efforts of those who are reaching out. As the world shares the feelings of this great disaster, may we learn to live in peace with one another. Amen.
Amen.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Tom. Thank you, Hannah. Roll call.
Para.
Here.
Conley.
Here.
Mulligan. Purcell.
Here.
Trudich. Gursky.
Here. We're going to have the reading of the minutes of the regular council meeting held on February 15th, 2011.
I make a motion to accept the minutes as written.
We have a motion by Steve and a second by Dave. Anybody have any questions or comments about the motion? Anybody from the floor wish to address this motion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed, no. The ayes have it. Before we get into communications, we have some special guests here tonight. I want to welcome you. I'd like to turn it over to Councilman Purcell to introduce our guests.
Okay, at this time, I'd like to turn it over to the head leader of the Girl Scouts, Nancy Baisley.
Nancy Baisley, I'm the service unit manager of the Tamaqua and surrounding area Girl Scouts. Our service unit now has 193 girls in scouting. We have 18 troops, and here tonight are two of our troops, juniors, 1106, and our cadet senior bachelor troop, which is 6th through 11th graders of 1211.
Thank you.
Thank you and welcome. As we go through the agenda today, you'll notice that we'll stop before we take any action and ask for any input from the audience, from the members who come here tonight. So if you have a question or a comment about anything that we take action on, we always make sure that there's an opportunity for public input, or make sure that all the questions are answered. So don't be afraid to raise your hand if you have a question at any point during the meeting, and particularly before we take a vote. Communications.
I have a few. First, I'm requesting council to consider a motion to open an escrow account for fire insurance proceeds received from Millville Mutual Insurance Company for the property at 525 East Broad Street.
I make a motion that we open.
We have a motion by Steve, a second by Ken, to open an escrow account. Anybody have any questions or comments about this motion? Anybody from the floor? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed, no. The ayes have it.
Next is from Diacon Community Services for Seniors. Diacon Senior Centers, together with the Schuylkill County Office of Senior Services, annually administered the Senior Farm Market Nutrition Program for over 2,000 income-eligible seniors in our county. The Senior Farm Market Nutrition Program provides seniors aged 60 and over with 4 $5 vouchers to be used at farm stands and farmers markets. In 2010, Schuylkill County had the second highest redemption rate of all counties, with 94.68% of the vouchers redeemed. I'm requesting the use of the Tamaqua Community Center on Wednesday, June 22nd, from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. at no cost. There will be no food served, and there should be no need for cleaning after the check distribution is complete. Diacon is a non-for-profit agency under contract with the Schuylkill County Office of Senior Services. The check distribution in the Tamaqua area will allow us to invest $4,000 in the nutrition of our seniors and boost our local farm economy. Thank you in advance for your consideration and assistance. And Kevin has a note that the community center is available on this date.
Like to make a motion to grant that request, please.
Second. We have a motion by Dave, a second by Brian. Anybody have any questions or comments? Anybody from the floor? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed, no. The ayes have it.
Next is from Amy Dotson Casey, Dave, team leader. My name is Davy Dotson, and I am the team leader of Team Hazy Dave. We are walking in the National Multiple Sclerosis Walk on May 1st, 2011. We are interested in the Moan Building to hold a craft and vendor fair. We are asking you to donate the use of the facility on April 17th. Being diagnosed with multiple sclerosis changes your life forever. It can affect your ability to walk, see, or think. And the worst part is you never know what is going to happen next. More than 400,000 Americans face the daily unpredictability of MS, and yet another person is diagnosed with the disease every hour. That diagnosis means a lifetime of uncertainty and expenses. In fact, the lifetime price tag for each person living with MS is nearly $3 million in lost wages, medication costs, and beyond. We need to take action now to help the growing number of people affected by this disease. This is why I will be participating in Walk MS to help the 13,000 local families facing the daily challenges of life with MS. Thank you in advance for your continued support in the fight to find a cure.
I'll make a motion to grant that request.
Second.
We have a motion by Thomas, second by Dave. Anybody have any questions or comments? Anybody from the floor? If not, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed, no? Guys have it.
Okay, next is from Alfred Haddisty. I am interested in filling the vacancy on the zoning hearing board. I am a longtime resident of Tamaqua, and I feel that I would be an asset to this community. Thank you for your consideration.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
We have a motion by Ken, a second by Steve. Anybody have any questions or comments? Anybody from the floor? Just under the comments, I know that we have some other vacancies on I think there's another vacancy on that board, actually. And there's other opportunities for people to serve on different committees that are involved with the borough government. If anybody's interested, you need to just submit a letter of interest. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed, no? The ayes have it.
Next is from CareNet. This letter is to inform you, with permission from Mayor Morrison, of our intent to hold our first annual Walk for Life in Tamaqua on Saturday, April 2nd, starting at 1 p.m. until 3 p.m. The walk will begin and end at Bethany Evangelical Congregational Church, located at 223 East Broad Street, Tamaqua. Our intent is to hold a peaceful walk without any signs. The route we wish to use is to exit the church and head west on Broad Street. We will turn back at Oddfellow Cemetery and walk back east to the opposite end of Tamaqua, turning around at Stone Garden. The walk will end back at Bethany ECC. We will have on hand our certificate of liability insurance secured from our insurance company for the day of the walk. The certificate indicates the Borough of Tamaqua as an additional insured. Our goal is to have 100 walkers at this event and raise needed funds to support the work of our pregnancy center.
Are they walking on the street or the sidewalk?
Sidewalk. They're not asking for their own street closed.
Make motion we grant.
There really wasn't a request in the initial.
Aye.
Okay, so then second.
We have a motion by Steve, a second by Dave. Anybody have any questions or comments? Anybody from the floor? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed, no? The ayes have it.
Last I have is I guess I would call it a petition. Rolling Mill Avenue, Tamaqua, PA 18252, lower speed limit from 25 miles per hour, and it looks like it's signed, and I counted approximately 24 names.
Refer that to the Parking and Traffic Committee.
Do you know what that's about?
No, that's why we're referring it to your committee.
Thank you.
And that's
Can
all
you
I have.
note that on our list of pending items? All right, thank you. Next item on the agenda is special business, the report on the Wabash Creek Wildcat Sewer inspections. Kevin?
Well, the last meeting, council hired A1 Services Incorporated of Shenandoah to undertake that project for us. The work began on March the 2nd. The work continued on the 3rd and 4th of March. They started at the downstream side of the tunnel and worked upstream. I believe they got as far as the intersection of Borough and Safari Streets. They weren't able to do any work this week because of the heavy rains that we received. They were concerned about the water level in the tunnel. So no work was done this week. They hope to pick up the work again early next week. And then we've been posting streets, providing the barricades, etc. as needed. since they can work this week, they're going to share the information they have so far with Alfred Benish and Company, our engineer, and Alfred Benish will work on updating its maps and identifying the sources of the discharge. I sent a letter to Kate Crowley of the Water Management Program at DEP to inform her of her progress so far, and I indicated all these things in my letter to her. Council has a copy of the letter that was sent to Ms. Crowley. And that's where we're as of this date.
Do we have any questions about that project? Okay. Borough Manager's report.
Yeah, I listed one item on the agenda in my report. It's the PennDOT transportation project, a project that's near and dear, I think, to our hearts.
I have some age for us, Kevin, go over this. Okay?
And I guess I defer to Tom.
No, we both do it. We both went to the meeting. Maybe we could pass these out to the people in the audience. All the council members have this in a small 8.5 by 11. So we'll make sure we talk about it all.
I think Tom and I attended this pre-construction meeting for this project, and just a little bit of background for the Scouts and others who are involved. The borough actually undertook this project several years ago. Council asked its engineer out to see what could be done to improve the flow of traffic in the community, particularly here on the community. And came up with several alternative projects or alternative plans to address the traffic flow, and council selected, I think we called it alternate revised or something. And we presented this to PennDOT to see if they would fund it and undertake the project. Well, after a few years and some requests, we are now at the point where they will undertake the project. Slightly different than what we had requested, but I think it's an improvement nonetheless.
PennDOT says they will move traffic through Tamaqua with noticeable difference.
Yes.
So we'll have to see if that's going to hold true.
So there was a pre-construction meeting with the successful bidder. Their name is Bruce Marilees of Newcastle, PA. And Tom and I attended that meeting. It was in the district office in Harlem. And PennDOT took some notes, which I provided to council. Tom also took his own set of notes, which I think summarize the things that are important. Most important to us.
The long version of PennDOT's notes are about what, 8 pages? And they go into great detail about what each contractor has to do. But I think the important thing for our borough and for us to know are these bullet points here for this traffic improvement. I do have the phone number on here for the contractor, which might or not have been a good idea to pass out, but it's on there, I'm sorry. But this contractor is from Newcastle, and that's out by Pittsburgh, but they do work all over the state. And what they're going to do is they're going to do a traffic improvement for us on 309, from one end of town to the other. And we're going to be getting new lights, new controls for the lights, and PennDOT has told us that it will noticeably get traffic through Tamaqua quicker. Now, the contractor is going to set up an office in downtown Tamaqua somewhere. Okay, he'll man that office for 6 months. Construction should start in June. Now, PennDOT will issue a press release to the newspapers to get this out to the public. The contractor will not be allowed to restrict traffic during peak traffic hours. And I never knew that peak traffic hours in our community are 9 a.m. or no wait, 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. and 3 to 7 p.m. 7 days a week. That means that the contractor can't restrict traffic he may be able to do work on the sidewalks and the controls and stuff, but he's not gonna be out on the street stopping cars and doing work during that period from, what is this? From 9 o'clock until 3 o'clock. He can stop traffic, back it up. The only thing that frightened me about this was the guy didn't know we have an auction up in Hometown on a Wednesday, and traffic is like hectic on a Wednesday. On Friday. Yeah. At all times, there will be 2 12-foot wide lanes open, even when they're working, so traffic will be able to flow through. And then here's the, number 5 is the big one, I think. In June, underground work will be done. This is when the contractor is going to be digging trenches across 309. I don't know if he has to dig 4, 2 or 3 trenches. And they have an automatic machine that does this, and it goes 2 feet deep.
Across 309. Well, it'll be a single trench, but the other trench across the side streets also. Yeah.
And
so you can run a wire to all the poles.
Okay.
Yeah, normally you would have 3 trenches dug in each intersection on the side streets and one across the line.
Now, I don't have it written here, but did he say that he's going to put a wire in there that it's going to sense when a car is at the intersection?
On the side streets, there'll be loop sensors.
So if you come up to a light on the side street at 3 o'clock in the morning and the light is red, there's going to be a sensor there that will know that your car's there and the light will change green so that you can get through.
On the next available cycle. Yeah.
Okay. And the question I asked him, I says, well, you know, you have this wonderful timing cycle of everything. I says, and if I were coming through Tamaqua and I get a green light at the right time, will I be able to make it through all the lights? And he says, you should be able to. I says, what happens if somebody hits a walk button? Does that, like, stop all of this automatic?
That cycle, yeah.
But it doesn't. He says it has to be, it waits until the next available cycle, and then that person is able to walk across the street. So in June is going to be, I think, the most critical time. There's going to be 2 crews. He's going to have one crew that's going to be, they're going to dig out where the pole is going to be set. They're going to excavate, go a couple feet down, and they got to pour concrete in there and put rebar to hold the pole up. And they're going to be doing that in June, cutting trenches across the street in June. And then in August, they're going to pull the wires through the conduit and run the wires up to the pole. And then PennDOT will place conduit in our trench for our camera system.
Yeah, surveillance camera.
Okay. And while we're talking about that conduit, he says, Tom, there was a sensor that they could put on the mast arm that would recognize the strobe light for an emergency vehicle. So if you're coming down the road and you have to get somebody to the hospital or a fire engine crew, there's a sensor that reads the strobe light, and it turns that light green, just the light that the truck can get through, and then it goes back to its normal cycle. We get that, right?
Well, the emergency vehicle would have to be equipped with the emergency preemption devices. In order to trigger that. Yeah.
We have them.
No, I don't think we do.
It's not a huge update, but it's something each individual company would have to do, and ambulance, any of our emergency responders have to.
How about the police cars?
No, nobody is equipped.
Nobody has.
We have no
Nobody has.
sensors in town.
We never
They
had
don't
that.
need it.
They don't have it, yeah.
Yeah, they don't need it.
The okay to have them on every light through town would help. But otherwise, you're gonna get through one, and you're gonna be stopped at the next one anyway.
Well, all of the, when they're done their project, all of the signals on 309 will have it, but we don't have it.
They put them on 209 and stuff, that thing.
Why would they put it out there? lines come in. There will be no detours. How they could pull off a project like this and not reroute traffic, but they're gonna do it. And there's a 30-day test period that will follow in October and November, where you gotta test these lights for 30 days. I guess the two lights will always be there during this test period, and then when the test is over, I guess they shut one off and turn one on.
Yeah, the old light, the new light will be bad until they're ready to start up the system. Then they take down the old lights and they bring on the new lights.
And they told us there will be lots of...
Then they have a test period to see if everything is as it was designed to.
for the 30 days. All right, and there's gonna be lots of interface with our railroad. And the contractor has to put a deposit down, and the railroad will provide inspectors and do flagging. I guess the two intersections or five points in Elm Street. Is that?
Elm Street will have railroad preemption, like we have at 5 points when the train comes, that direction will go red. The biggest impact on the railroad would be the Elm and Railroad Street crossing, where they'll be installing the railroad preemption. That will be a lot different than it does.
So we'll see people from the railroad involved in this too. And number 11 is the ADA ramps will be installed at all intersections, and pedestrian traffic will safely be rerouted. And I admired the guy from PennDOT telling the contractor that this is extremely important, that when they're doing work, that people are safely routed around their work area. Because there's going to be construction workers and there's going to be traffic coming through, and it says you need to be very careful with pedestrians. You don't want anybody getting hurt going through this. And then the 7 intersections that are going to be upgraded. First one coming into town where the school buses have to turn to go up to the school at Spruce and 309. Then at Burger, Cedar and 309. 5 Points, Mock Chunk and Pine Streets, Elm and Pine, Elm and Railroad. And this was news to me. We're getting, in this project, a new old-fashioned light on Greenwood and Broad. How did that one? You don't like it?
I think this bill will, I'm not sure.
They had the money to... Oh. Okay, so, Ken Coleman was there from Senator Arnold's office, and Ken told us to tell the community that Route 309 will be inconvenient for about 6 months. And then the kicker at the bottom of the list is 309 Bridge project may be done at the same time all of these lights are going to be done.
So inconvenient will be an understatement.
Wednesday every day.
And not only that, but the county has the Greenwood Street Bridge project out there, which is the bridge right behind our building here. That may also take place in this time frame as well. The bids are being accepted to April 4th. So you may have 2 significant traffic projects going on around the same time.
I just want to make one, just please don't call me.
We're going to refer all questions to parking and traffic.
Remember that, girls? Mr. Turtel is the parking and traffic.
I want to thank Tom and his committee. I know that they've been working on this for many years now. Hope you scouts see what exciting things we get to talk about and discuss at our council meetings. But Tom, thank you for that update. Does anybody have any questions for Tom?
I have some.
Go ahead.
Are there any, is there any direction on overall hours of operation of this project? Cutting equipment is quite loud.
Is he going to be working during the night?
Yeah.
They
I have no idea.
they The working hours are generally 7 to 3, Monday through Friday.
Okay.
Well, you know what, Dave? That phone number's on there?
If there's night work,
I'll just call
You're the first one to call him.
The bridge project stands for 2 shifts.
The bridge project they'll be doing at night.
Unless you're sitting down there in your shop, it's not much of a problem, so.
Do you have other questions, Dave?
Yeah, one other one. Is there a limit on parking restrictions? And I would imagine for them to keep 2 lanes of traffic open, they're gonna have to restrict parking on one side or the other of any given block. I mean, how many blocks at a time do we have to sacrifice?
Another good question.
They're gonna minimize inconvenience, but no, there is no.
It minimizes the relative term.
There is no set restriction on the parking. But they will try to keep it.
I don't know if we can ask them to do a block at a time, but I mean, that might not work with their schedule. So,
Well, we're gonna have a lot of pain all at one time. Believe it or not, it'll actually be better to get it over with and be inconvenienced a lot for a short amount of time instead of doing 3 projects back to back. So,
Will there be signs posted on 309, say 10 miles down the road that state there's going to be traffic congestion in Tamaqua, you should find an alternate route around town, stuff like that? On all highways, 309 and 309, will that be done?
Yeah, PennDOT has an annual called work zone traffic control, and they must follow that to the letter. There's all kinds of advanced signage and cones and analyzing points, all that stuff. Plus, we'll be doing, so we'll be doing press release, and we can do our own, food social. But there should be sufficient advance notice.
any other questions for Kevin? All right, thank you, Tom.
That I can go through some of it, and I could get to Tamaqua quicker than I can.
We'll have to have a meeting, we'll have to have one of our council meetings in Owl Creek, John, just to,
Half an hour to an hour to get in Tamaqua, so.
I think you'll see a lot more traffic on Owl Creek Road during that time. I really will. Anything else under your report, Kevin?
Let's see, I just want to, well, we have many projects at various stages of work here. I just want to mention that the demolition of 311 Lawrenceburg Street is now completed. And we had no problems, and we're very pleased with how that turned out. I don't have anything yet on the 2011 CDBG application. That's needs to be held up because of the budget, state budget. So we always got a public hearing in April. I'll get more information on that. We're opening bids for relocation of the water main to the Center Street Bridge tomorrow at 2 p.m. And I'm trying to finalize our bid documents for our garbage collection contract. I hope to have that done this week. If anyone has any ideas or suggestions for that, please send them my way. I'd like to get it out to bid soon so we can have the opening in April and have the results due for the second meeting in April.
Thank you, Kevin. Police chief's report, including your packet. Committee reports, building and equipment committee. John?
Street lights. What are we doing about getting the bulbs in? Out in Oxford, I have a couple neighbors that wired the lights out almost 2 months. This is ridiculous. We're paying a light bill, we get light bills every month. Are they deducting the light bill from the light bill for these lights that aren't burning? Or why can't we get it changed?
We have a bigger problem than PCNL or whoever changing the light bulbs. The whole problem comes down to NEM. I mean, what's the status on that? We transfer everything over from PCNL to this other outfit.
Who is collecting the money for the light bill?
And they are supposed to do the maintenance on it, and it's not happening. I mean, the point is, what are we doing, and Mike, maybe you can answer this, because I think you did some things on behalf of S. Mahoney. If we've got to join in on a group to get some resolution to this, but it's getting ridiculous.
They came and met with me. I indicated to them businesses I had, Lanford, Coldale, and Tamaqua, that maybe they should update everybody as to what was going on, where they're at, where they're moving to. And I think everybody on council, should everybody get a copy of their.
They said a copy, 7 pages, mumbo jumbo, with no resolution on it.
Exactly, and that's the things that they would say to me when we were sitting there, which I never accomplished anything. So I'm meeting, I'm getting together with Bobby Urchak and Michael Page, with Michael Page, so we're here, St. Clair, Motor City. And so we're gonna sit down, I already received a letter from him, I'm sending the letter back out today, I was interested in sitting down with him, and see which way we're gonna go.
Well, I think
Everybody's at
whatever you need to do to get them,
Right.
We need to
They're not
formalize that in a
responsive.
motion of some sort to take action against them or anything like that.
Let me see where we're at when we sit down as to what to do, where we're going.
but our major problems are they're not responsive when the lights are out, and they
Right.
haven't
I
adjusted
think we
their
should hold the
contract.
money back on the bill. That's the only way to get people, don't pay them.
But we're not paying them for the electricity used. That's their other provider.
Right, but we are paying them for the
They're not
service.
changing the light bulbs, they're not changing the light bulb. And they're responsible, they're very responsible for it, and we're paying them. I'm gonna make a motion that we stop payment on their bills until they start giving us cooperation.
How many streetlights do we have, Kevin?
Wait, hold on, there's a
This
motion on,
isn't the only light,
Hold on.
there's a couple other lights.
there's a motion on the floor, is there a second to his motion?
I'll make a second.
All right, we have a motion by John, a second by Tom, to stop paying the MEN bills until we get a response from them on the out street lights. Does anybody have any questions or comments about the
Under
motion?
the question, what are we paying, what portion of the bills, that's my point, what portion of the bills are we not paying MEM? I mean, we're paying a loan,
We have a service contract with them.
and we're paying a service contract to them,
Yep, that's the
and
service.
we pay that, what, monthly?
Semi-annual.
In the agreement, I think there was annual or semi-annual.
I would not, my advice is not pay something until, because you don't wanna be, if we're going, and I don't wanna ruin the litigation strategy, but if we're going after them, we don't wanna be the one in breach. We don't wanna be the one in breach beforehand. Let me see where I'm going, and if they're not doing it under the contract. John, I'll write a letter out to them about fixing the lights that are out. Where are they out? If get to Kevin which ones are out, I'll do a letter out to them, but I'm gonna sit and meet with the other two attorneys, and we're gonna move probably together as all joint plaintiffs, rather than to divide it all up. You want some economy with it. I know where their problems are, and I know where the problems lie. They just, to resolve it, it has to go before the PUC, because PP&L is not turning these poles and units over to us for ownership through MEM, because they're saying they don't comply with the PP&L standards. And the problem is, none of PP&L's lights comply to their own standards.
Aren't they their own fault? Aren't they keeping on?
Exactly, the way everything is set. The problem is that they know that if it goes to the PUC, it will be a long drawn-out battle, and MEM is gonna cave because of the financial concerns and the agreements that they have. So they're still trying to push forward with what they have, and they're trying little, I don't know if it's revealed in their correspondence, but they're trying to push them one way by taking our franchise agreements with the cable franchise agreement, and using that as being a agent thereof, and saying that now, as a cable franchise, you're not in compliance, now you have to bring your pole to compliance, force the PP&L to bring it to compliance so that we could get the poles back, and they're not, that wasn't successful, and now they're looking to try to get us to enact some sort of penalty through the cable franchise that allows us to go after PP&L if it's not in compliance, which we could fine them and do things like that, and you're trying to say that might expedite it, and that's what they're looking to do next, but I don't think we're moving toward any of that, because the problem is this is what they were supposed to do when they did this contract with us. They were supposed to get us the light poles and then do that maintenance, and they're not doing it. But I said, I think we should really wait till I sit down with Mike Opay and with Bob Urchak and figure out a strategy in which way we're going for all the municipalities.
Will we tell them to send their permission for the cable company to use the poles?
don't wanna do, no, you wanna, the idea is we need to assist them in getting, the problem is getting them all, getting those things over, and by, we paid money to MEM, and if they're not gonna do it and they're not gonna contract it, then they're in breach of the agreement, we have to look at that road, but we also have to look at the fact that we're caught in limbo, and in order for them to get the benefits and receive the benefits of it, we should be assisting them somehow, because we need to get these poles turned over to us.
So if we withhold the funds, we're actually harming the agent that we have to get this.
There are no, it's just those two payments, but if you don't make the payment, then they're gonna say that we're in breach of it. I don't wanna be in breach
Well,
of
no,
it.
I'm also saying that MEM doesn't have the financial resources to continue the
Correct,
project.
correct, and that's what DPL is counting on.
Right.
But the flip side though, what they have of our money, we pay that, we're not talking about the maintenance agreement, there's a maintenance agreement, a service agreement, is there another agreement where we're making loan payments for that big bulk amount?
That's the purchase. The purchase.
$400,000?
It's a bond payment.
But my point is, there's other municipalities, I believe Monterey City that took them and said, look, we've made these payments, we haven't gotten anything, and they, I don't know if I'm correct or not, they agreed to make that payment. But I mean, that's the point, that's why I want to find out what we're talking about here, because if it's a matter of maintenance bill, or like Mike's saying, not paying those bills to keep us out of a breach of a contract, there's a bigger number here that we're dealing with, that we should be looking at to see what they need to pay. And that's what I'd like to find out, get that big number and say, we're not dealing with a maintenance agreement, we're dealing with that bulk loan agreement that we took out to buy these poles. And that's the number that we're paying on, and we're not getting service.
So we were never buying poles though.
Just the lights.
Just the lights,
Yes,
the lights, correct.
It's hundreds of dollars.
Just a point of order, Tom rescinded his motion, or a second of the motion. John, you want to rescind that motion? Are you talking to MEM? Can you help us? You're gonna
Yeah,
get
I'm gonna
information
help.
on the lights, the specific lights that are out to Kevin? So that,
Well, John did report it to me, and I submitted it.
This has been going on for quite, when Bill Willing was here, I used to call him and give him the phone number. And he called me, it took over a month to get a light bulb changed, this is nonsense.
Who's doing the maintenance, PPL or MEM?
But okay, they came here, gave us a good presentation with the purchasing, the light standards and everything else, and to me, they were a bunch of baloney.
Yep. I've been watching This American Greed on
Because
TV.
they're not doing their job,
This is one
not
thing
doing
that's
what they
down
told us
there.
they'll do.
Yeah, John did report the layout, and I submitted it twice.
Yeah, there was, on Center Street, there was three lights were out, it took, I don't know how long to get them light bulbs changed.
I remember right when they were
There was
here.
one on Cedar Street, I
I
hear.
emailed you one of the guys down there about it.
They're not doing it, they don't care.
So we've got paying for the light acquisition, but then we also have a service and maintenance contract. So really, it's the service and maintenance contract number that's really in question here, because they're not fulfilling their obligation on that, correct?
I believe that they submitted for 5 days, when we reported burnout over, I think they said they would do it within 5 days, is that?
I believe so, yeah, and that's not the,
This is almost
Kevin, do
2
we have
months.
the capability to do that? Go out and change lights when they're burned out?
we don't discuss.
Don't do that.
Okay.
Let me get what's there, let me see if I could expedite them getting the thing in. You're in a lot better shape than some of the other municipalities because you have equipment that has already been changed and implemented. Or other municipalities, they took the money and didn't do anything.
Well,
And that's why
that may be
everybody's.
true, but you still end up with, hazards in certain areas where we've got lights.
I'm
out
gonna
there.
I'm gonna get that in, but we don't wanna go, if we've contracted with them to do that, don't go up and do that ourselves. You can't do that. I'll
Okay.
get something to them, and if they don't respond to it, then we might.
can you keep council in the
Yeah.
loop between meetings as well?
Absolutely.
Thank you. John, do you have anything else under building and equipment?
Working on the truck.
Finance, wages, salary committee?
To make a motion to adopt a resolution delegating authority for collection of the local service tax to the Schuylkill County Tax Collection Committee, and there's an attached resolution for that.
Motion by Brian and a second by John to adopt the resolution. Anybody have any questions or comments? Anybody from the floor? Just one comment, the collection rate that we're gonna be paying is lower than we were paying, so it's good news for us. We'll have a roll call vote.
Kara,
Yes.
Conley,
Yes.
Mace,
Yes.
Mulligan,
Yes.
Bertel,
Yes.
Goodrich,
Yeah.
Gursky.
Yes. Tom? Do anything else?
We have also have a motion to appoint Ray Woodring as water distribution work leader effective immediately.
A motion by Brian and a second by Steve. Anybody have any questions or comments? Anybody from the floor?
I have a question.
Go ahead.
This was the only interested party or the most senior party, senior ranking party?
It's a union thing, they went through the motions of it.
Okay. So the normal chain of events happened?
Yes.
Anybody else? Anybody from the floor? Not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed, no? The ayes have it.
I have one other thing under the Ways and Finance. The Outreach Commission, have they gotten their own checking account yet?
No, not as of yet. I talked to Ian about it, but no, we're still handling that.
Did we send them a letter and tell them that we want them to get their own checking?
I did not send them a letter, I will. I had a discussion with Georgine about it. I'll press them.
If they hesitate, we could just stop paying bills out of that account. And
I mean,
and
yeah, they're ready to have an Easter egg hunt down here.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so do you want that Easter egg hunt run through the borough?
Not particularly.
All right, then they're not gonna have the Easter egg hunt until they get their own checking account.
We could just let them know,
Maybe
there'll be one,
6
there'll be
months
one
ago.
more check to come out of that account, that'll be for the balance, and they could deposit in their own account. But you're right, it's not, we need to make sure that we're not handling that through this season.
And this is something too that showed up through the recommendations of our auditors and everything else. So this is something we're doing. I mean, they need to get a 501c3, they need to get their own checking account. This is something that our auditors have been telling us, and we've been telling them to do that.
Anything else, Tom? Neighborhoods Downtown Historic District.
A motion to issue certificates for the progress for demolition of the garage at 408 Hazel Street and installation of a deck at 7 Market Street. That's it.
I'll second that.
We have a motion by Ken and a second by Steve. Anybody have any questions or comments? Anybody from the,
Actually, 408 Hazel Street is already gone.
that are approved, huh?
I would think, yeah. Is that the normal?
No, it's not.
Yeah.
Anybody from the floor? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed, no. The ayes have it. And just so you know, if we didn't approve it, we could actually make them rebuild it.
Could we? And it's still outdated condition?
Yeah. I don't know why we would do that.
I don't know.
But really, we shouldn't allow the demolition
That was my point.
before they have their permits. Anything else, Ken or John?
That's all.
Recreation and Youth Committee.
I have a few. I'd like to make a motion to accept a proposal from grant-free excavating of Tamaqua in the amount of $89,472 for construction of the Little Schuylkill River Walk project.
Second.
Motion by Dave and a second by Steve. Anybody have any questions or comments? Anybody from the floor? Not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed, no. The ayes have it.
I'd like to make another motion to accept a proposal from Bognet Incorporated of Hazleton, Pennsylvania in the amount of $47,978 for construction of the pool backwash holding tank project at the.
Second.
We have a motion by Dave, a second by Brian. Anybody have any questions or comments?
Yeah, this is for the backwash holding tank that we need to install to be in compliance with the regulations on dumping the backwash water to the sanitary sewer rather than its other current discharge.
The storm sewer. Anybody from the floor wish to address this motion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed, no. The ayes have it.
I'd like to make a motion to adopt a resolution authorizing the filing of an application for funding from the Department of Conservation and Natural Resources for the Dutch Hill Playground project.
I'll second it.
There's a motion by Dave and a second by Steve. What's the amount of the request?
$28,000.
Anybody have any questions or comments?
I'll just make a comment that's trying to take the two CDBG grants that have been allocated for that project, $20,000 in 2009 and $8,000 in 2010, and use that as an our 50% match. I'm sorry, our 50% or 50% matching grant from DCNR to potentially then increase the budget for that project to $56,000.
You note in the minutes that our local match is going to come from our CDBG program. $28,000. Anybody else have any questions or comments? Anybody from the floor wishing to address this motion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed, no?
Mr. Chairman,
Steve?
Thank you. I didn't hear that.
Thank you. I forgot.
I didn't hear it.
Mr. Chairman, if you could clarify the first motion where the funding came for the Riverwalk project,
Sure.
and also the second motion where the funding came for the pool.
The Riverwalk came from that's an 80-20 grant, 80% from, it's PA Trails grant, DCNR. 20% match came from CDBG. I forget what years, but it's prior years. Then the second one, backlot building tanks, that's all CDBG money.
Excellent, thank you.
And one last motion, motion to accept the bid from Dive Cincinnati Incorporated. Pretty even Kevin, I'm not sure where they're located, somewhere in Ohio, but no, it's not. That would make sense. Well, he's looking at that in the amount of $5,177.42 to install or for a new diving board, 3 fulcrum parts and 2 rubber channel sets for bungalow pool.
Okay, can you just, is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion by Dave and a second by Steve. Now, can you say the amount?
Sure, $5,177.42.
And what is it for?
It's for a diving board, 3 fulcrum parts, and 2 rubber channel sets. That's it.
Anybody have any questions or comments?
How long are we gonna be allowed to have these diving boards?
How long are we going to be allowed to have them?
I don't have the answer to that question. We're allowed to have them now.
They just spent $5,000 for this insurance company, so this next year we gotta get rid of it.
They haven't indicated there's any problem with them. They never expressed any concern about them, so I guess, I don't know,
What's the matter with diving board? Aren't you allowed to have them at pools anymore?
some insurance companies have an issue with them.
So, yeah, some insurance companies have, the height of the diving boards, they're starting to regulate them right now. But as of right now, they haven't done anything with ours. But in the near future, I think.
I'd rather see the money being put into the water slide.
This would be from the maintenance fund, so I don't know if we can pull money out of the maintenance fund for.
It's put money that could go toward water slide too.
Anybody else have any questions or comments? Anybody from the floor wish to address this motion? Please stand up and state your name and address.
Agnes Versailles, 228 Owl Creek Road, Tamaqua. This is in reference to the last snowstorm that we had.
No, only questions or comments about this motion. We'll get to the public participation.
Oh, I
next on the agenda.
misunderstood what you said then.
Okay, sorry, we're still under the Recreation and Youth Committee, and we have a motion on the floor to purchase a diving board and the parts for a diving board. So that's what the motion is. Anybody have any questions or comments about that motion? If not, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed, no? We have one no. The ayes have it. Anything else, Dave?
No.
Now, anybody from the floor wishing to address council, please stand up. You know, I won't make you restate your name. Thank you. Please stand up.
Okay, this is in retrospect to the snowstorm that we had a week ago, and the snowplow hitting the mailbox at 235, which I own, which is across the street. Now, I called in and talked to a girl in the borough office, and Rob Jones got back to, he made a phone call back where I wasn't home, but he made the statement that he talked to his driver, and the driver said they did not knock it off. They found it in the middle of the road and picked it up and sat it off to the side. The statement was also made that if they would have hit the mailbox, they would have had to run over the steps, which I have a picture here of the plane and the direction of the road in retrospect to where the mailbox was and the steps. I'm not looking for a new mailbox because that's not necessary. I would like the mailbox put back onto its post. Now, I have the mailbox here. I was told also that it was rotted, that that's why it fell off. It couldn't have fallen off. If you take a look at it, you can see there is raw wood.
You can see what was hit right here. If you look underneath, you can see it was hit. That wood is not rotted. That wood is not rotted. When it was hit, this is why it splintered. And we have a picture where the pole is actually bent.
You can step back. I don't.
The mailbox has actually been on that post for as long as I've lived in Alfred, and even longer.
Well, I can tell you this, Agnes, I know that when we plow snow, our crews do hit things from time to time, but they are typically very, Joe, please wait. We are typically very responsible because we get reports after every snowstorm of all the things that they hit. They come back in and they tell the borough manager, they fill out a report whenever they hit something. So I believe if they would have hit something, they would have stopped and taken care of it. I don't know if you talked to Kevin or Rob Jones about this incident. I don't know what the resolution was, Kevin, maybe you could talk to him. But I can tell you that our crew is pretty responsible because in the process of plowing snow, they do hit things from time to time.
Okay, I put the dog out at 11 o'clock at night. The mailbox was there, it was fine. It was just starting to snow. Now, the next day, the mailbox is sitting on the steps. They said they found it in the middle of the road and sat it on the steps. Well, I was awake when the plow went up the road because, I mean, the sound, you hear the sound of the plow up and down all night long. They never made a stop in front of the house or I would have heard it. So, what can I say?
You know, I have to agree with Agnes on this one. I mean, if this was just a random act that this mailbox fell over because it was windy and it was rotted, I mean, why would it happen on a snowy night?
Well, there was strong gusts of wind that night.
Oh, now if that was there for umpteen years.
I mean, it's just too much of a coincidence that this mailbox goes down in a snowstorm.
But you can, and looking at the picture though, Tom, and I can't argue either way. This post is right at the base of the steps, and I mean, you mean to tell me that if a plow came through and knocked this off at that height, that there would be more damage to those steps, more damage to that pole, and more damage to that mailbox?
Positively, you're wrong, because the mailbox extends 10 to 11 inches beyond that pole.
You don't actually have to hit it with the blade of the plow. You could, I mean, the snow that you're pushing can push the, can push it. Where did this gouge come from? In the concrete here.
Dirt.
Oh, it's dirt?
Yeah.
If I threw a snowball and broke anybody's window, I would be responsible for it,
Well-
even though nobody saw me do it, and I said, no, I did not do it.
Right, or if you hit it with a baseball bat. All I can say is that our workers are typically very honest, and when they hit something, they report it.
Are you insinuating that I'm not honest?
No, I'm saying that our borough workers are. And if they hit something, they take a responsibility for it. And so if they say they found it in the middle of the street, I believe them.
I don't believe them because they may have hit it and not realized it. They would have had to stop on the way up if the mailbox was on the road. They didn't make a stop up. But coming back down would have been the time that they would have hit it or knocked it or whatever to make it into the center of the road.
They would have hit when they were coming back, you're saying?
Yes, when they were going from east to west.
It's just a little too
That's where they
fishy,
found
and
it coming back.
it
No,
doesn't
they-
cost
they
a lot
couldn't
to
have.
put this thing back up.
That's
Put the mailbox back up for the woman.
All I asked is the mailbox gets put back on its post.
Jeez, what do you think this, I mean, it's a stinking mailbox, it was snowing out. The plow went by, the mailbox is down. Why would the borough put it back in?
If
Why
thought
would we
did
take
it,
such a
would.
stand on an issue?
If we thought we did it, we would, certainly.
But there was not even any courtesy to come out and take a look.
Rob did come out and look at it.
Pardon?
Rob did come out and look at it.
How could he? I had the mailbox under her carport. He never came to the door to look at it.
He didn't look at the mailbox, he looked at the pole.
I'm not questioning the pole, I'm questioning the mailbox being knocked off. Like I said, all I ask is that it gets put back on the pole.
I make a motion, we put the mailbox back up for the woman.
There's a motion, is there a second? There's a motion by Tom and a second by John. Anybody have any questions or comments about this motion?
And every mailbox that gets knocked off from anywhere or any pole.
Have you had anybody come to a council meeting like this about something like this?
No, because typically if we knock it off, we admit it and we fix it.
The question, the mailbox should be positioned back, so it doesn't happen again.
This mailbox, like I said, has been here for years and years and years, and it was put up under the legal guidelines at that particular time when it was put up.
Anybody else from council have questions or comments about this motion?
Would you be satisfied if I won't put it back up there?
As long as it's put back up.
I'll put it up and bring it up.
Withdraw your motion.
Thanks, John.
Yes,
That
thanks,
okay with
John.
you?
Thank you, John.
Yes. Thank you, Council, for listening to me.
Before we leave, can I say one thing?
You stand up and state your name and address,
I'm Joe South, and I'll put you on who I am.
but the people in the audience may not.
You were mentioning this electricity business. This summer, when I had the power hooked up to my garage, people I was under the impression they still own those lights.
They do.
Okay, but the way you were talking, it sounded like you're under the impression that this other company owns it.
No, the PPNL owns it. We're trying to buy the lights from PPNL. We have a maintenance contract with a different company other than PPNL. So if the light goes out, we call someone other than PPNL to replace it.
I just wanted to let you know that, just in case somebody was under misinformation.
Thank you. Anybody else from the floor wishing to address council, please stand up and state your name.
Ray Vanetsky, 652 East Broad Street. I was here when them two gentlemen made this presentation, Amy and he's all voted for him. They're all for it. I was here when they spoke and everything else. Did anybody check their background? Did everybody check their background?
Yeah, we had reference letters from cities all over, Allentown, Bethlehem, all over the place, we had a whole package.
No package.
Whole package, full of
Now,
recommendations.
now that they don't want to do anything. They don't want to fix the lights. They don't want to do anything.
Right, you're right,
And it's a damn shame.
you're right.
Thank you. Anybody else from the floor? Please stand up and state your name.
John Boland, 406 Arlington Street. I'm with the Tamaqua Fire Police also, this is what this is about. We have a garage right now, that the borough has left its fuels, and we're having nothing but problems with it. The roof still leaks, we can't hold 8 classes in our own garage, it's not suitable for improvement. There's mold and mildew blowing up the doors, and we'd like to switch it to our garage out there if we can. We are looking at one garage, we'd like to meet with council members at the area to see them look at the garage and have us explain to them what we're looking for. Because right now we have no facilities in our garage whatsoever. We have no water, no nothing.
Good rent though, isn't it?
This way, we won't
For
raise
what
your
we
rent.
do for you, it's very good rent. I mean, we save you a lot of money.
Yep.
All year round, and we don't ask for nothing, and Borough actually don't give us a whole lot, besides the garage now. But we can't hold classes there for other people, because we have no restrooms for them to use. You get dirty, you can't wash your hands.
The intent was to house your vehicle, which it does. We put a new roof on it.
Which leaks?
If we've got a leak, we need to fix leaks in the roof.
The water
We have
comes in
drainage.
under the garage, the water comes in under the
No,
door.
we have a drainage issue there, and we need to fix the drains outside. We know we've got to do
We heard that for 3 years already.
You haven't been there that long.
2 years, I bet, he said about it. Since we first looked at the garage, he said the issue might be the water.
It's been a year. It's
Well,
been
you
a year
got to
since
get
we
the
did
whole,
that.
the whole ground and put all new pipes in it, the cattle in it, and
So we're looking
everything
to
else.
dig it up in the spring and get manpower to do it over the grades.
We have wooden cabinets that were rolled from out there.
And you knew water ran under the floor and got the cabinets wet, you put them on the floor. I'm not arguing the point. Well, they're on pallets, but you knew that water come in. The point is, you look for a place.
So you
So
would
you
say
have
is
place-
our willing to help us move into our garage?
That's not what we
That's more
said.
suitable
What
for
we
us.
talked, and we said to Bobby, when the weather would break, we'd go down, and we'd sit and talk about it, about fixing what we have to fix there, about when we're doing that, about running water into there for you. We talked about doing that. The other garage is in use. The other garage is a Camel and everything else, and has other equipment there.
That's one other,
I know you guys think you can put a wall up and all that stuff, but we're running out of room on our own. And that's the point. We gave you a place to house that piece of equipment, and we'll help out getting it corrected, but we don't have any other place to go. That's our problem. We don't have any other place to go for it.
alright,
I mean, we said we'd meet with Bobby, we talked with Bobby. I think you were involved in the meetings that we had out there,
a
but
couple, yeah.
we talked to Bobby, and we said we'd work on the drainage issue out there. This is the first I'm hearing about the roof leaking, I didn't know that one.
Well, that's better we did.
But the drainage, and again, we've got, we said we would look at, when we did the drainage, about running some water in there. If it's possible to run a water line in there to get you water. But we talked with John and Kenny, you guys can back me on this, we talked about it, Kevin. We brought it up about the request for the camel, where the camel's parked over there. When you guys want to build a wall and put a furnace in there and everything else.
It already has the heating system in it. If it could be redone, that we could use it, it already has a toilet over there. You know what I mean? All you have to do is open the water over there.
The heating system has been shot, it has to be replaced. It's a roll.
Well, if we get together, something we can talk about. I mean, the Camel, they claim they put in a big garage during the winter anyway because it needs heat. The other truck that's in that garage is only the cherry picker, which will fit in our garage, no problem. But we have our steel door that we can go in and out of with a little office space that we can keep our files and records in.
But I'm just saying, what we have to do with the other garage, we know that's coming up. because we talked
As
about
far
it.
as the Camel, we actually help you out with the Camel, because we get this other garage and we get heat in it, then we could leave the Camel right where it's at, and it'll be heated for you for the winter. And you're taking one truck out of one garage, put it in another garage, and then put one of your trucks out on the street. I mean, come on.
Yeah, we've talked about this before, we told Bob we'd work on this, so. We set up a meeting again, but we go over everything, we know what we've gotta do as far as the drain.
Well, we'll refer this to the Building and Equipment Committee, but I do remember when we set the garage aside for your group, it was for,
Well,
it
it's
wasn't for
you
a
know,
meeting
like-
room or anything like that.
Right, it sounded great at the time, but when we went there for a flood, when I walked in, there's shit and everything else up to my kneecap.
That's what we had.
Well, no, it's not, it's not safe for my own health or anybody else's health out there. To go to get an emergency vehicle, which is only have 3 of them, and that's one of them. I mean, it's a shame you have to walk through shit and everything else in order to get your vehicle. I just really gotta think about it, and we wish you could help us out.
Thank you. Anybody else from the floor wish to address council? Please stand up and state your name and address.
Dennis Kiefer, 1673 Sweet Arrow Lake Road, Pottsville, PA. Mayor, council, if you just remember, I was here about 6-7 months ago talking in regards to using a project labor agreement, the benefits of using the agreement on the Owl Creek project. I distributed the copy of the PLA tonight, and I'm asking you to consider voting to use the project labor agreement on that project. I won't go into a long spiel like I did last time, but there's PLA's in effect in the county. One just finished up, the intermodal station in Pottsville, coming in $600,000 under budget. Used 85% workforce in Schuylkill County. Right now, the county of Schuylkill is bidding the prison pre-release center under the same project agreement that's in front of you. Yesterday, the Schuylkill County Municipal Authority awarded a job under that project labor agreement to a local contractor that's going to use local people. Their first project, if you remember, that they left out, Schuylkill County Municipal Authority, was given to a contractor from Philadelphia who brought 14 Philadelphia employees up here to work. So I'm not going to get into it. It's all about jobs. That's what we're here to talk about. And the only way to secure county people working on these projects is with a PLA. If there's any questions, I'd be glad to answer.
Yeah, I have the same question I had 6 months ago whenever you were here last. Would it prohibit any county or even Tamaqua contractors from bidding on the job if they weren't union?
Nope. Nope.
If they didn't use union labor, would they be
In
prohibited?
that agreement, they can use 13% of their workforce.
But if they didn't have any union labor, they couldn't bid on the job.
To sign that agreement, they have to use.
If we adopt this agreement.
They can use 13% of their workforce, and the rest have to be local county people.
But if they don't use union, they can't bid on it. We
Well,
can't
they
hire.
gotta agree to use local county people to bid on the project.
Right. Union labor.
Yes,
Right.
yes.
So a local contractor who uses no union labor, but still pays prevailing wage and does everything else that they need to do, would not be eligible.
One just got the project yesterday, Performance Construction.
For the
Local
applicant.
contractor. What's that?
Would there be contractors that would be prohibited from getting the job with
Not
this agreement?
as far as I'm concerned, no.
So like Grand Prix Excavating from Tamaqua, we awarded the bid for them for $89,000.
If he would agree to use 13% of his workforce and the rest local county people.
But
yes,
if he didn't hire union labor, but he was a low bidder, paid prevailing wage.
Well, we're beating a dead horse here.
Would he be prohibited from getting the job?
No, he wouldn't be prohibited.
If he
If
did
you
use-
adopted the PLA, he would not be
If he
prohibited.
didn't use union labor, could we hire him? If he used zero union labor, could we hire him?
Not if we adopted the PLA.
Okay, that's all I need to know.
Let me ask you a question, if I may.
Sure.
How do you keep from happening what happened with the Philadelphia contractor, with the 13, we're so worried about local contractors here, correct? What is the measure to keep that scenario from happening again with a Philadelphia contractor that doesn't even buy a gallon of gas to come up here and takes their paychecks all back down to Philadelphia?
Yeah, we bid the project out, they agreed to pay prevailing wage, and Davis Bacon, if it's a federally
Right.
funded project, and they agreed to all the stipulations that are in the contract.
Right. But we need to be aware of the amount of local labor that is laid off in these economic times right now.
But we shouldn't
also.
prohibit local contractors from bidding on the job, local excavating contractors. That's my opinion. I mean, maybe the rest of the council, if the council has any questions for Mr. Kale.
You mentioned the one project, that was the bus terminal in
Yes.
Pottsville, and there was a $600,000 savings on that?
Yes. Yeah.
Did you have any other examples?
Yes, the project that just was bid out last week for Schuylkill County Municipal Authority was brought in $400,000 lower.
What was that project?
What was that one bid? It's on the fractal grade, I'm not too sure what it.
Not the fractal what?
On the fractal grade, one of those reservoirs on the fractal grade. If you contact the Schuylkill County Municipal Authority, they'll be able to let you know what.
The nature of the project was.
Yeah, it wasn't Indian Run, it was the same reservoir type deal.
I think that project was going up. And that labor force was county union labor force?
Yeah, the one that bid now will be, it's a local contractor, local non-union contractor actually, that picked up the job. My fear is the same thing happening as what happens all the time, you know, there's nothing to prevent these, you know, we're so worried about local contractors, nobody's worried about local employees. You know, the first one that bid up there was a Philadelphia contractor with X amount of employees from Philadelphia. Those people didn't buy houses, cars, groceries, nothing, not even a gallon of gas in this county. No taxes paid by those Philadelphia people. Any other questions, I'd be glad to answer. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else on the floor wish to address council? Okay. Mayor's report.
Make it kind of lengthy. I want to start with thanking Girl Scouts for coming out today. I'd also like to thank John Matz is here today from the EMS manager, emergency management coordinator over in Pottsville. He was here doing some work today for not only us, but for all of local fire and emergency folks. I'd like to congratulate our local athletes and cheer on our Raiders. I would like to announce you got a packet for the Borough Association dinner, which is going on April 14th. I hope many of you can attend. I would like to note that the fellow that just had left our fire police, and they do work very diligent for us, and if you can take the opportunity to meet again with them. I know the flooding issue is probably the biggest, and I know we're looking at doing something with the drainage there, and whatever could be done. I think those guys do a wonderful service to our community, and I certainly appreciate what they do. The Schuylkill County National Children's Health Study kicked off this past month, and anybody who's thinking of having children in the upcoming year, that's an incredible opportunity we're sharing here in Schuylkill County with the nation, where it's the biggest health study on children and childbirth that's ever to have been taken on. I'd like to touch base with the Recreation Committee. We had a night with the skate park, and the kids seem to have set up shop on the basketball court down there at Willing Street. And I think we need to look at it somewhat, where we're heading with that, maybe in the coming committee meeting.
Sure.
I got census numbers back, and I'll pass this down to keep on file. I don't know if Kevin got anything in yet. The number is 6,618 for the population, which is a decline of about 600 from 10 years ago. And overall, I
don't think that's accurate.
You know,
I think yeah, the actual, I think the number was I think it was over 7,000. I think it was only a drop of 64 people, I believe. That was probably a 2009 estimate.
Yeah, 7,107.
It's actually exceptional news. We only lost 0.9% of the population, and this is after 8 decades of double-digit percentage losses. So.
I'll pass this down anyway.
That's an average, 65.
That's a different number than what's on my sheet, so they're sending all kinds of numbers around. We'll take the high one.
Yeah, it's 7,107 is what I have.
Excellent. Let's take the high number. We'll go with that.
Well, then actually, if you think about that number, they only lose 0.9% of our population, and given the age of our community, we've had a lot more people pass away than be born, and so their natural population has been a big decrease. So to be able to almost break even, that means we've had a lot of new people move into Tamaqua.
Certainly, and one thing that we were faced over 30 years prior to the 2000 census, we were seeing about 100 person decrease in population, I believe, were the numbers for 30 years prior to 2000. So equaling out into the early part of the 2010, that's phenomenal. I think that's great news for us, and I think the county's decrease was only a couple thousand as well. So overall, I think some of the numbers decreased in the boroughs, but the township's seen an increase as well. So I think those are good numbers for the county. My last issue I want to bring up, Dennis Kiefer has come here tonight, and I certainly welcome the idea. I share your concern of local contractors, Micah, but I do overall share the concern of Dennis Kiefer and the employees and the workers in Schuylkill County. I know with the South Ward project, I think we had one local contractor bid. The rest of them all came from out of the Schuylkill County area, and that does bother me, and I'm sure it bothers everybody. And of course, you don't have to vote tonight, but I wish that you would take some serious consideration to the project labor agreement and the construction workers throughout Schuylkill County. Every time I see a friend of mine who's a construction worker, and I ask them, you know, are you working? And I bet you 9 out of 10 times the answer I get is no. And that's difficult to take. One of the biggest things that we are faced is, biggest concern, I think, the region is faced with is jobs.